Step out of the vehicle now, both of you, hands where I can see them. He slams his palm against the rear window so hard the entire car shakes. Camille flinches, her phone slipping from her trembling fingers onto the floor mat, her breath caught in her throat. Officer Hayden Cruz stands tall in his crisp uniform, jaw clenched, hand resting near his belt, eyes cold with the kind of arrogance that comes from never being questioned, not once in 8 years. What he didn't know was that the Uber Black passenger he was about to humiliate had a father who signed his paycheck. The night had started so simply. Camille Winters, 28, graphic designer, daughter of Atlanta Police Chief Ronald Winters, had just finished a late client meeting in Buckhead and ordered an Uber to take her home to her Midtown apartment. She didn't drive that night. Her car was in the shop. She climbed into the back seat of a black Chevy Suburban driven by Marcus, a quiet 55-year-old retired teacher who drove for extra income on weekends. She smiled politely, plugged in her seatbelt, and checked her messages. Normal. Forgettable. Until Officer Hayden Cruz decided otherwise. They were 3 miles from her apartment when the red and blue lights appeared behind them. Marcus glanced in the rearview mirror, confused. "I wasn't speeding," he muttered. Camille looked back through the rear window and felt her stomach tighten. She'd grown up around cops. Her father had been on the force for 34 years, chief for the last 6. She knew what a routine stop looked like. This wasn't it. The cruiser stayed close, lights blazing, no siren, just pressure. Marcus signaled and pulled over onto the shoulder of Peachtree Street, near a CVS with a half-full parking lot. A few people were walking to their cars. Some stopped to watch. Camille's pulse quickened. Officer Cruz stepped out of his cruiser and approached the driver's side with his flashlight aimed directly into Marcus's face. No greeting. No explanation. License and registration. Now. Marcus handed them over, hand steady but voice shaking slightly. "Officer, can I ask what I did wrong?" Cruz didn't answer. He took the documents, shined his light into the back seat, and locked eyes with Camille. His expression shifted. Not softer. Colder. "Who's she?" he asked, nodding toward Camille like she wasn't even there. "She's my passenger, sir," Marcus said carefully. "Uber." Cruz's lip curled. "Uber Black, huh? Fancy." He tapped his flashlight against the window. "Roll it down." Camille hesitated, then pressed the button. The window lowered halfway. "All the way," Cruz snapped. She obeyed. He leaned in close, scanning her face, her clothes, her lap. "Where you coming from?" "A work meeting," Camille said quietly, keeping her tone even. "Work meeting at 10 p.m.? What kind of work?" "Graphic design." He snorted. And where's home?" "Midtown." "Midtown," he repeated, mocking her. "Must be nice." Camille said nothing. Her father had taught her long ago, stay calm, stay respectful, record everything if you can. But her phone was still on the floor. Cruz walked back to Marcus. "Step out of the vehicle." "Sir, I..." "Step out." Marcus opened the door slowly and stood on the shoulder, hands visible. Cruz circled him like a predator. "You got any warrants?" "No, sir." "Any drugs in the car?" "No, sir." "Any weapons?" "No, sir." Cruz smirked. "Then you won't mind if I take a look?" Marcus's face tightened. "I'd prefer if you didn't without cause, sir." "Wrong answer." Cruz stepped closer, voice dropping to a threat. "I've got cause." "You were swerving." "I wasn't." "Don't argue with me." Camille's heart pounded. She could see people in the CVS parking lot now, phones out, filming. This was escalating fast. Cruz opened the back door where Camille sat. "Out." "Excuse me," she said. "You heard me." "Now." She stepped onto the pavement, pulse racing. He looked her up and down, eyes lingering in a way that made her skin crawl. "You paid for this ride?" "Yes." "How much?" "I don't see how that's..." "How much?" $32, she said, voice cracking slightly. He laughed. A cruel, sharp sound. $32 and you think you're riding in luxury? This ain't a limo, sweetheart. It's a Suburban with leather seats. Her jaw clenched. "I just want to go home." "Yeah? Well, Maybe you should have thought about that before getting into a car with someone who can't follow traffic laws. He didn't do anything wrong, Camille said, louder now. Cruz's eyes narrowed. You talking back to me? She didn't answer. He stepped closer. I said, are you talking back to me? No, sir. Good. Then keep your mouth shut unless I ask you a question. But here's the part that changed everything. Camille's Apple Watch buzzed. A text from her father. On my way home from the office. You good? She didn't respond. She couldn't. Not yet. But she made a mental note of the time, 10:17 p.m. Cruz was now searching the Suburban's interior, tossing Marcus's gym bag onto the pavement, rifling through the glove box. He found nothing. Of course he found nothing. But that didn't stop him. Where'd you get the money for this ride? Cruz asked Camille suddenly. She blinked. I work. I told you. Yeah. Doing what again? Graphic design. For who? A marketing firm. He scoffed. Must pay pretty well if you're calling Ubers at $30 a pop on a Tuesday night. She felt the rage building in her chest but kept her face neutral. I'm just trying to get home, officer. Officer. He mocked, voice high-pitched and cruel. You think using my title makes you respectful? You think I don't know what you really think of me? Camille stared at him. He was baiting her. She wouldn't bite. Cruz turned to Marcus. You know her? No, sir. She's just a passenger. Just a passenger, Cruz repeated. Funny. You two seem real comfortable. We've never met before tonight, Marcus said, voice strained. Sure you haven't. Cruz pulled out his ticket book. I'm citing you for failure to maintain lane and failure to signal. I did signal. And I'm citing her, he pointed at Camille, for disorderly conduct. Camille's eyes went wide. I didn't do anything. You raised your voice to an officer. That's disorderly. I didn't raise my... Keep talking and I'll add resisting. Her hands shook. This was insane. Completely insane. What he didn't know was who was watching. Not just the bystanders. Not just the phones recording from the CVS lot. But his own body cam. And the dash cam in his cruiser. Both running. Both recording every word. Cruz handed Marcus 2 tickets. Then he turned to Camille and held hers out between 2 fingers like it was trash. She reached for it. He let it drop to the ground. Oops, he said flatly. She bent down and picked it up, humiliation burning through her. People were still watching. Some were shaking their heads. One woman called out, "That's messed up." Cruz spun toward her. "You want a ticket too, ma'am?" The woman went silent. He turned back to Camille. "You can go. Try not to break any more laws tonight." She climbed back into the Suburban, hands trembling so hard she could barely close the door. Marcus got in, started the engine, and pulled away in silence. For 2 full minutes, neither of them spoke. Then Marcus said quietly, "I'm sorry you had to go through that." Camille shook her head, tears pooling in her eyes. "It's not your fault. I should have said something." "You did." He didn't care. She looked down at the ticket in her lap. Disorderly conduct. $350 fine. Court date in 3 weeks. For what? For existing? For being black in the backseat of an Uber? She pulled out her phone. Her hands were still shaking. She opened her messages. And she typed one line to her father. "I need to talk to you. Tonight." Camille didn't tell her father right away. She went home, paced her apartment, replayed the encounter in her mind 100 times. She felt ashamed, angry, powerless. But she also felt something else. Resolve. At 11:30 p.m., she sat down at her kitchen table and did what she did best. She researched. She pulled up Officer Hayden Cruz's name in the Atlanta PD public database. What she found made her blood run cold. Cruz had been involved in 9 complaints in the last 3 years. Excessive force. Discriminatory language. Unlawful search. Every single one had been investigated and dismissed. But there was something else. A note buried in the file. Subject officer currently under internal affairs review for conduct unbecoming. File sealed pending outcome. Her father's department was already investigating him. And he was still on the street. Still pulling people over. Still humiliating them. She screenshot everything. Then she opened her text thread with her father and typed, "Dad, I was pulled over tonight. Not driving, I was a passenger. The officer wrote me a ticket for disorderly conduct. I didn't do anything. His name is Hayden Cruz. I need your help." She hit send. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then her phone rang. "Camille, are you okay?" Her father's voice was sharp, concerned, and laced with something she rarely heard from him, fear. "I'm fine, Dad. I'm home. Tell me everything." She did. Every word. Every look. Every moment of humiliation. When she finished, there was a long silence on the other end. Then her father spoke, voice low and dangerous. "Hayden Cruz. You know him?" "I know of him. He's been on thin ice for 2 years. IA's been building a case, but we needed something airtight. Dad, he threw my ticket on the ground. He mocked me in front of people. He made me feel like I was nothing." Her voice broke. Her father's tone softened. "Baby girl, listen to me. You are not nothing. You are my daughter. And what he did tonight, that ends now. What are you going to do?" "I'm going to make a call. And tomorrow morning, you and I are going to file a formal complaint. With body cam footage, dash cam footage, and witness statements. He's going to say I was disrespectful. Let him. The cameras don't lie." Camille exhaled, relief flooding through her. "Thank you, Dad. Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning." If only Officer Cruz knew what was coming. The next morning, Chief Ronald Winters walked into his office at 6:45 a.m., 2 hours before his usual start time. He called his deputy chief, his IA director, and his legal counsel into a closed-door meeting. He showed them the ticket. He showed them Camille's statement. He showed them Cruz's file. And then he said 5 words that set everything in motion. "Pull every camera. Every frame." By 9 a.m., the footage was on his desk. Body cam, dash cam, CVS parking lot security cam, 2 bystander phone videos. All of it painted the same picture. Officer Hayden Cruz had abused his power. He had humiliated a citizen without cause. He had issued a fraudulent citation. And he had done it all while under active IA investigation. Chief Winters watched the footage 3 times. Each time, his jaw tightened a little more. At 10 a.m., he picked up his phone and called Cruz's direct supervisor. "Sergeant Hollins. I need Officer Cruz in my office by noon. Full dress uniform. And I need you there too." "Sir, can I ask what this is about?" "No. You'll find out when you get here." What Hayden Cruz didn't know was that his career was about to implode. At 11:55 a.m., Cruz walked into Atlanta Police Headquarters in his patrol uniform, confused but not worried. He'd been called to HQ before. Usually for commendations. He straightened his tie and knocked on the chief's door. "Come in." He stepped inside. And froze. Chief Winters sat behind his desk, hands folded. Sergeant Hollins stood to the right. IA Director Kim Travers stood to the left. And on the screen behind the chief was a frozen frame of Cruz's body cam footage from the night before. Camille's face, clear as day. Cruz's throat went dry. "Sit down, Officer Cruz," Chief Winters said. Cruz sat. "Do you know why you're here?" "No, sir." The chief leaned forward. "Let me show you." He pressed play. For the next 8 minutes, Cruz watched himself on screen. Every word. Every sneer. Every moment of cruelty. When it ended, the room was silent. Chief Winters spoke. "That woman you humiliated last night? That's my daughter." Cruz's face went white. I didn't know." "You didn't need to know. You had no right to treat anyone that way. Passenger, driver, civilian, it doesn't matter." "Sir, I was just..." "You were just what? Doing your job? Your job is to serve and protect, not to mock and degrade." Cruz stammered. "She was being disrespectful." "She asked you a question. That's not disrespect. That's her right." Chief Winters stood. "You're suspended. Effective immediately. Pending a full IA review and a formal hearing." "Sir, please. Badge and gun. Now." Cruz's hands shook as he unclipped his badge and placed his service weapon on the desk. "This is my life," he whispered. "Then you should have thought about that before you abused your authority." Cruz was escorted out of the building. He didn't look back. But just when things seemed settled, they weren't. Because 2 days later, something else happened. Something Cruz never saw coming. One of the bystanders from the CVS parking lot, a woman named Shanice Bell, had uploaded her phone video to Twitter. She captioned it, "Watched an APD officer humiliate a black woman for no reason last night. She was just sitting in an Uber. This is what abuse of power looks like." Within 12 hours, it had 47,000 views. Within 24 hours, it was picked up by local news. Within 48 hours, it went national. CNN, MSNBC, The Root, all of them ran the story. And all of them identified the officer as Hayden Cruz, a cop with 9 prior complaints and 0 accountability. The Atlanta Police Department was flooded with calls, emails. Protests were being organized. Chief Winters held a press conference. He stood at the podium, camera flashes popping, and said, "We have reviewed the incident involving Officer Hayden Cruz. His behavior was unacceptable, unprofessional, and in violation of department policy. He has been suspended without pay, and we are moving forward with termination proceedings. We are also working with the young woman involved to ensure she receives a formal apology and that her citation is dismissed." A reporter called out, "Chief, is it true the woman involved is your daughter?" Winters paused, then nodded. "Yes. But my response would have been the same regardless. This is about accountability, not favoritism." The room erupted in questions. But Winters stepped away from the podium. He was done talking. He had work to do. 1 week later, Hayden Cruz was officially terminated. His appeal was denied. His certification was flagged. He would never work in law enforcement again. Camille's ticket was dismissed. Marcus, the Uber driver, received a formal apology from the department and a $5,000 settlement for emotional distress. And Camille? She stood in her father's office one last time before it all closed. "Thank you, Dad." He shook his head. "You didn't need me, baby. You had every right to fight this on your own. I just made sure the system didn't bury you." "But it could have. It could have," he admitted. "And that's what we're going to fix." Camille smiled. "I love you. I love you too." 3 months later, the Atlanta Police Department launched a new program. It was called the Civilian Dignity Initiative. Every officer would be required to complete quarterly bias training. Body cam footage would be reviewed randomly by a civilian oversight board. And any officer with more than 3 sustained complaints would be automatically flagged for IA review. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. And it happened because one woman refused to stay silent. Because one father refused to let power protect cruelty. And because the cameras, this time, told the truth. Camille's story isn't just about one traffic stop. It's about every black woman who's ever been talked down to, dismissed, humiliated, or made to feel small by someone in uniform. It's about every mother, daughter, sister, and friend who's had to teach their children how to survive an encounter that should have been routine. It's a reminder that dignity doesn't end when the lights flash. That respect isn't optional. And that sometimes, justice doesn't come from silence. It comes from standing firm, speaking truth, and refusing to let the world tell you that you don't matter. Because you do. Camille mattered. Marcus mattered. And so do you. Her victory wasn't just personal. It was a message to every black mother watching. Your voice is powerful. Your story is valid. And no badge, no title, no uniform gives anyone the right to take your dignity. Not on the road. Not ever.